Welcome back, and today we're going to be reviewing the second installment into the Infinity Saga, The Incredible Hulk, starring Edward Norton, Tim Roth, Tim Blake Nelson, Ty Burrell, and William Hurt. This movie was directed by Letterier, and the screenplay was by Zak Penn. Dr. Bruce Banner is on the run from the US military in South America. He was tasked with creating a serum to help make soldiers highly resistant to radiation, unaware that he was actually tampering with the super soldier serum once used to make Captain America. Banner, confident of the safety of his project, he tested it on himself. The experiment went wrong, and anytime now that Banner found himself enraged, he would transform into the Incredible Hulk. I don't know whether or not that is fully accurate for this film, because they don't really stick to the lore in how Banner's transformation works. I'll get to that in a bit. First, I just want to say something that I found pretty interesting. The screenplay was written by a man named Zak Penn. Zak Penn? I've never heard of his name before. Then again, I don't normally pay attention to the writers as much, but that is something I'm working on. I want to give more respect to the writers, so I'm actively checking who wrote what when I watch it, because they deserve the respect. This writer is actually credited for writing some of my favorite comic book movies. He wrote X-Men 2, he co-wrote The Avengers, and he also wrote The Last Action Hero, which is a forgotten about movie. I don't really hear anyone talking about that movie anymore. It's fantastic. I highly recommend anyone to watch it. He also wrote X-Men The Last Stand, Elektra, Inspector Gadget, and Ready Player One. These aren't movies that I personally like or respect, sadly, which is strange considering he's credited for so many great movies. But it turns out that he did co-write The Avengers with Joss Whedon, which you can just tell that is a Joss Whedon movie just from the way that the dialogue works. He co-wrote The Last Action Hero with Shane Black, and I mean, if you've seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang or Iron Man 3, that's another comedic Shane Black movie. And X-Men 2, I don't know if you know, but that was co-written by the one and only Solid Snake, David Hayter. Snake wrote X-Men 2. What an amazing credit to have. So it's pretty interesting. It turns out that this guy is, I don't want to put too much responsibility on his shoulders, but it seems that he understands what a good story is, but without the right influences, he won't actually come through with something that's cohesive and interesting as something that's written by, say, Joss Whedon or Shane Black. So I thought that was quite interesting. What is this a good movie? I didn't really enjoy The Incredible Hulk when I first watched it. It's not something that I was intending to revisit and thought that I was gonna just suddenly start liking it. It's more of a case study, really, of like where they went wrong, why they went wrong, what really did work and what didn't work. Not much in this movie was worth salvaging. William Hurt, who plays Thunderbolt Ross, did continue on into Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. He plays that character so well. Very reminiscent of the Thunderbolt Ross from the Incredible Hulk TV series that was very in the same vein as the X-Men animated series back in the 90s. Most of the other aspects of the movie just don't really appear in anything else. Edward Norton as Bruce Banner is just strange. I never looked at him and just felt that was Bruce Banner. I love Edward Norton. I think he's a fantastic actor. He's interesting, he's got complexity, got a lot of range, but for some reason in this movie he just doesn't bring to the screen what he would normally bring to the screen in, say, like, obviously Fight Club, which I adore that movie. It's an incredible movie. Most of the actors do a great job. There's a lot of talent in this movie, but it doesn't really ever come together, and it's strange. I can't tell whether or not it's to do with the production problems or whether or not it's the problem of the director not bringing out the adequate performance from the actors. It's hard to say whose fault it really is, but considering that we know that all of these actors independently have great screen presence and an acting prowess, there's no reason why this shouldn't have worked, but it didn't. As a 4K movie, I mean, there's nothing really particularly exciting going on. The cinematography isn't particularly captivating. The CGI actually is quite dated now. There are moments where I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like the sonic cannons and the daytime scene at the university. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's very Incredible Hulk. The final fight scene is fantastic. I really enjoyed that. I wasn't really a fan of the way that Hulk was rendered in this film. He's like got 0% body fat, and also, you know, his muscles are really thin and sinewy. They're just like not exactly the kind of Hulk that I prefer. A bit of thick daddy Hulk, you know, like a little bit of dad bod, you know, still ripped, but you know, he's got that more bold and strong, round musculature. Eric Bana's one was a bit too fat boy, a bit too blobbious. Then Norton's was on the complete different spectrum, and Ruffalo is just right there, right where we want it, in the sweet spot. Going back to this movie wasn't particularly much of a revelation. I didn't really enjoy it any more than I did originally. I choose to forget this movie. I mean, this film is not really talked about. I don't think people actually associate it with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I feel like this is really the worst of them all. So far, this is my least favorite Marvel movie, and that's fine because it created something far better. The direction they took after this with Mark Ruffalo was an incredibly good decision, and I love Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk and as Banner. Ultimately, I don't really recommend people to watch this movie. I don't really think that it's even worthy of 4K, considering it looks dated. The structure of the movie is kind of strange. It is very reminiscent of the 1978 Incredible Hulk TV show starring Bill Bixby. Great cameo by Lou Ferrigno in the movie. He was delighted to see. Probably the worst Stan Lee cameo, that he drinks the soda that's got Banner's blood in it and then he dies. That doesn't even fit into the narrative that later becomes like how Stan is apparently an agent of the Watchmen. It's just a weird blip. Doesn't really play to the strengths of how much of a magnetic person Stan Lee is on film. I want to go into spoilers because as things stand, when you're watching a movie that's really bad, it's so hard to not talk about the problems of the movie without spoilers. So spoilers ahead, please don't go any further unless you want a 12-year-old movie to be spoiled for you that isn't really worth watching, but definitely worth ranting about. There's a strange decision made in this movie where the way that we indicate to the audience that Banner is starting to lose control and could turn into the Hulk isn't demonstrated by the actor's ability to show frustration and anger. He has a heart rate monitor on, and if that heart rate monitor beeps fast enough to 200 BPM, then he's going to turn into the Hulk. Now, I don't know if you know, but anger and the escalation to being angry is a lot more complex than just your heart rate speeds up. I mean, if you Google symptoms of anger, there are several different things, and it's like as if they went, "Ooh, look at this, escalated heart rate. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Maybe we could do this, and it could be a cool little visual indication of our protagonist shifting." It's way more complex than that. Maybe they were thinking, no, the audience won't get it. The audience won't really be able to feel or care about seeing like the stages of anger to be translated into a scene. It would be too complicated, right? It would clearly be too complicated to go through all of the different stages of anger that actually are authentic to a person shifting like that. Well, if you didn't know, there are actually 5 stages of anger. There's the trigger phase, where we get into an argument or we feel threatened, and then there's the escalation phase, where symptoms of increased respiration, increased heart rate, muscles tense, voice becomes louder, and then there's the crisis phase. Survival steps in, and it's fight or flight. Then it ends with the recovery phase and also the post-crisis depression. I mean, that's just too hard to put into any one awesome and iconic scene. Seriously, it just blows my mind that they couldn't just use the incredible talent that they had there and show us his emotional range. Like, Edward Norton could easily have done that. I mean, that It really bugged me. It is great to see him say Hulk smash and seeing some of the. If you actually want to have a great experience, play the original PS2 game, The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. That game was amazing. It was incredible. I mean, it's dated now, but the idea of having a free roam area where primarily all you need to do is enrage the army and just Hulk out, just jumping from building to building and smashing anything you could possibly get your mitts on. That is truly an incredible experience. Anyway, I am looking forward to next week that I'm going to be watching Iron Man 2.
Yeah, Iron Man!
I know a lot of people don't like this movie. I totally understand the complications with the structure and so on, and the scraps of Iron Man that we actually got. But I loved this movie when it came out. But I'm interested to see how I feel about it next time. But I'm interested. I'm curious to see whether or not that any of the problems translate through. I'm sure it's going to look fantastic in 4K, considering Iron Man 1 did. So look forward to that next Friday. Thanks for the likes, love for the subs, and I'll see you then. Much love, film friends. Bye bye.